November 12th, 2024 at 7:01 p.m. And we are convened today as the Provo City School District Board of Education. We're meeting at 280 West, 940 North in Provo, Utah, and we're going to begin our meeting today with a roll call. We'll start with Devin.
Devin Daly, Business Administrator.
Lisa Boyce, Board Member.
Terry McCabe, Board Member.
Jennifer Partridge, Board Vice President.
Rebecca Nielsen, Board President.
Wendy Dowse, Superintendent.
Meg Van Wagenen, Board Member.
Gina Hales, Board Member.
Melanie Hall, Board Member.
Thank you so much. Let's see. Is there
Student Board Members.
Oh, sorry. Student Board Members?
Hutch Fala, Student Board Member.
Monica Tuona, Student Board Member.
Thank you so much. Is there a motion to convene our business meeting this evening?
I move that we convene our business meeting.
Thank you so much. Motion made by Board Member Hall. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Hales. We are now in our business meeting. We are going to start tonight with some opening remarks provided by Board Member McCabe.
I'm turning my time over to Colonel Taylor from Independence High School. I'm saying that right, yes? Yes?
Yeah.
Colonel?
Colonel Miller.
Miller, sorry. Yes. They are going to put that there.
Colors.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Colors. Post. Colors. Present. Arms. Order. Arms. Mark time. March. Forward. March. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And we also want to acknowledge our student from Centennial Middle School who led us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. Thank you so much for being here with us. Okay. Let's see. We're moving on to our community connections portion of our meeting now. We're going to start that with our employee recognition. So we'll hear from Jason Cox, our Deputy Superintendent.
Good evening, school board. Thank you again for this opportunity. We have so many people in our city, but also just in our school district, in our organization that work so hard to help students. And I feel lucky that we get to celebrate some of those monthly. And so this month, I'm going to read off the people that we're celebrating. I would ask that you please stand, and then we'll give you a round of applause. We have a video that is also, we're going to watch that after that. And we want to give you an opportunity to be thanked personally by the school board. So we'll have you go up and let them shake your hand and thank you for your service. So the people we're honoring tonight are Kim Cheney, front office in Rock Canyon Elementary. Tori During, teacher at Shoreline. David Young, social worker at Amelia Earhart Elementary. Suzanne Parker, Assistant Principal at Timpview High School, and Roy Davis, Custodian at Timpview High School. Let's give them a round of applause. Okay, we'll go ahead and watch the video, and then afterward, we'll get that chance, that opportunity for the board to thank you.
She's always actually listened to my concern, actually found answers to my questions, actually helped me when I was having trouble with students.
She's always encouraging and positive. She helps me solve problems, and is someone I know I can always come to with concerns and say, hey, what about this? Or maybe we should do this differently.
So I really appreciate all the work that she's done and all the help and guidance that she's provided me.
He's an exceptional man that does a difficult job, comes to work every day with an amazing attitude and love for the work and dedication to his job. And I just really think that he epitomizes what it is to be an incredible custodian, and I can't thank him enough for his almost 40 years of service to Provo City School District.
I nominated her because she's so nice and she's always willing to help others, and even if it's like a really bad day for her or if she's having a hard day, sick or anything, she's still willing to help and go through the trouble of making sure everybody's included. She's just so nice, always upbeat, and an awesome teacher overall.
Students, they love her. They feel very trusting of her, so that if they need her help, they'll go to her and have her help them. She's very organized, always smiling, always has a hug to give, a real asset to our school. And so we're really, really glad that she has this honor of being a Provo Way recipient, and she really deserves it.
David is compassionate, dedicated, is extremely caring, and works hard to ensure these students receive assisted guidance, counsel, mentorship, and skills to help them achieve their daily academic and educational goals. He has a very positive, uplifting attitude, always has a smile on his face. He teaches these students the importance of listening, making good choices, being respectful, as well as kind to others.
All right, let's give them you up. We'll have you start right over here and let, again, the board members and our superintendent and BA give you their appreciation. So we'll start right over here with Devin. Be careful of any microphone cords that are right up here too. But right over here.
That's what I heard. Congratulations. Thank you so much, Roy.
Thank you.
Awesome. Seriously.
Good job.
Appreciate all your hard work. Oh my gosh, I'm like such a fan. Oh, that's good. Oh, she saved many of my children.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much for your work. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Oh, 40 years. Thank you. David, good to see you again. Thank you for working hard. I love that they say that 40 years awesome, amazing. You are not happy. Amazing. I was like, good job. Oh, I gotta make sure you get it right. Congratulations. Oh, you do. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Hey.
Let's give one more round of applause for our Provo. Okay, we are going to be privileged to have a school report from Principal Brooke Dalby of Centennial Middle School. And before she comes to the podium, I just want to give everyone the quick notice that after she's finished, we'll have our public input portion of our meeting. And if you would like to give input to the board tonight, you'll need to fill out a form that's on this little table over here to my right and your left. You'll need to fill it out completely and hand it to our Secretary, Bonnie Totkus, over here raising her hand. And that is something that can be done while we are listening to this presentation. So feel free to fill out a form if you'd like to speak with us. But in the meantime, we are going to be excited to hear from Principal Dalby.
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. And she took off, but I just want to thank Anne for being here to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I think that's a very intimidating thing to do, but she did awesome. Okay, so I'm super excited to talk about Centennial. I love it so much. I put our vision and mission statement in here to empower learners for life by building community, scholarship, and resilience. In our mission statement, we empower and equip our PAC to become a collaborative community in which each person feels safe, develops academic skills, and faces challenges. And then our values that we really focus on are PAC, perseverance, academics, community, and kindness. And we worked on this a couple of years ago with our leadership team, looking at data from some of our panorama surveys as well as academic data to kind of find some areas we needed to focus on. And this is what they came up with. These are the teachers that we have in all of the content areas, as well as 45 ESP employees. And then the tenure along the bottom. We do have a lot of new teachers at Centennial, but there's also quite a few veteran teachers as well. So for the last 3 years, we've been relatively similar with our demographics. I think like many other areas, our number of MLs is increasing. The number of students on free and reduced lunch is increasing, and then we're just becoming a little bit more diverse overall. So the numbers of students who are Hispanic has grown a little bit, but it's been still relatively similar over the last couple of years. Some of our achievement data. So I wanted to show you something a little bit different here. So this is a school comparison that is available on the Utah State Data Gateway. The line that you see in each of these is Centennial in comparison to comparable schools, other middle schools and junior highs. So the left is the most recent, and then it goes back 2 years as you go across. So I just wanted to highlight, if you look at the right, the orange are the schools that outperformed us. The gray are the schools we outperformed based on proficiency. So if you look at English and the growth they've made over the last 2 years, they've come a really long way. And our English team really deserves recognition for the work that they're doing. Math has seen improvement as well. And then science is definitely an area we need to improve on a little bit, but I think we still do a good job. So part of why I bring up the comparison is we had a little bit of a issue with our data this year. So our achievement data, according to RISE and proficiency through the data gateway, shows math at 46%. And then when we got our report card, it showed up at 38%. And I was like, wow, that is a big discrepancy. And so Michelle and Nate Mitchell have been helping me dig into that. And it turns out that over 300 of our tests were not included in that school report card. And we're trying to figure out why, if it was a clerical error on our part or the way it was pulled or what. It also is most of our highest math classes that were not counted. So that's a big reason why you see that big discrepancy. So I just want to point out math, I think they're doing a lot better than the report card reflects. And then another thing I just wanted to highlight is our growth of the lowest 25%. So the most recent data, we were at 53.8% for that. And if you see last year, we were at 39.1. So it's about 14% growth. And that's something we were really focusing on and celebrated a lot as a faculty. Our school improvement plan goals are just summarized here. Really just working on academics across the board with a goal to increase proficiency in math, English, and science by 5%. And then we want to increase proficiency of our multilingual students in math, English, and science, and our students with disabilities by 2%. Those are areas that we have been struggling in and we want to focus on and bring those up. We also are focusing a lot on our culture as a school and school safety, helping students feel safe at school, and as part of that, feeling connected. And that comes from panorama surveys that showed students were saying themselves when they were surveyed that they did not necessarily feel connected excuse me, to adults in the building, and that they were not feeling safe physically, like in the building, specifically in the bathrooms. So that has been a goal we've been working on for a couple of years, and also to decrease the number of office discipline referrals for those more major behaviors. And then we wanted to increase the engagement with our parents and get them into the building, engaging with our emails, newsletters, social media, and things like that. Our action goal that we work on, we do this every quarter, right now is to strengthen Tier 1 instruction and to increase the rigor for all students in every classroom through PLC work, instructional coaching, and reflection. And that is our current action goal to help us reach the bigger academic goals. So some celebrations I wanted to highlight, and I apologize, I had to convert this into PowerPoint, so it changed my editing a little bit. But so one thing we've done a lot of work on is PBIS, and as you see, we've incorporated expectation posters throughout the entire building, and this year we've started adding those in Spanish as well with the help of our DLI Spanish teacher. And then we've posted our vision and mission statement throughout the building. And in the top left, those photos are our AVID students. And we have photos of them throughout the building dressed in graduation attire or career attire, things they wanted to do when they graduate high school. And then those are paired with like positive quotes that connect back to our PAC expectations as well. So you'll see each poster has like perseverance, academics, community, or kindness listed, and a quote that goes along with it. One of which is the Disney quote from Cinderella, by the way. I think our PLC work is a huge point of celebration. The photo here of a bulletin board are the team's action goals. So each quarter they write a SMART goal and an action plan of how they're going to achieve it. And they've come a really long way. Admittedly, when we first started doing that, the goals were a little bit too easy. They weren't specific enough. And we didn't exactly know what to do with them or how to make them actionable. And the teachers have done a lot of work and gone through a lot of training, and this quarter, I feel like our goals are really solid, and every team is on board and is working at those. And then we update data on that board regularly and have the district and school goals in a poster on the left, just trying to stay more focused on what we're working on. And then there's a screenshot as well of the teachers' goals and action plans just closer up, so you can see what that looks like. They turn those in a shared drive so that we all can see what everybody's working on, and they go in and look at that as a team, and then quarterly as a faculty, we go in and do a deeper dive into it. And one thing I just want to point out with this is my faculty is amazing, and I ask them to do hard things and they do it. And I don't get pushback in faculty meetings. They all show up and they're just so willing. I love them so much. I could not have a better faculty, and I love that I can present things to them and I don't have to worry about the attitudes or questions or questioning. They are willing to do what it takes for our students, which is amazing. And our English team specifically is doing some really cool stuff. So they have been looking at data on Fridays, and they list where students are, who's at grade level, who's below, and who's above on each standard that they're learning or their learning targets for the week. And then during our intervention time, they share kids. So they'll decide, okay, this teacher had the best data for this particular learning target, so they're going to reteach the students who were low and didn't perform where we want them. And then the students who are above are going to go to a different teacher, students who are at grade level, a different teacher. It doesn't matter who they're assigned to, they all truly just share all English students. And it's really cool, and I think it's showing in their data as well. Another celebration is just the charity work that our student government leads. They do Sub for Santa every year. Last year, we gave Christmas to 22 different children. Our food drive is also usually very successful. And then last year, we started what we call Timmy's Pantry, which is a community pantry that we didn't have before. And one of our PTA parents was really passionate about that and helped to get it up and running. And we have food and clothing and all sorts of items in there. Our Science Bowl team last year made it to nationals. They won state and got to go to Washington, D.C. And then our performing arts were invited to perform at the Lincoln Center in New York City. And part of that is just based on their levels of performance. They had to be able to demonstrate that they can have a certain vocal ability and sing different parts while also doing choreography and sing difficult pieces. I think we've come a long way in our culture at Centennial, just across the board, being more positive. We're trying to make it a fun place to be. Middle school isn't always a fond memory for a lot of people, and so we're trying to change that for our students and make it so they love it and they want to be at Centennial. We've made an effort to bring parents in more frequently, and our Latinos in Action program has just flourished and has done some really cool stuff with parent nights and different cultural celebrations and things like that. And then we've started regular newsletters sending home to our parents in both English and Spanish. And then another celebration I just wanted to share is my office team. Over the last 2 years, that's our Matilda Halloween costume. And then we did a Loteria dress-up day, so that's what the top one is, supporting Latinos in Action. But we've had some tragedies and some very difficult situations that have come through our school in the last couple of years, and our team has been there through all of it. I honestly didn't ever have to tell them what to do. They just knew what to do, and it just seamlessly happens, and everybody communicates through it. We had a medical emergency with a student, and by the time I got there, everything was okay. They had gotten the medical attention they needed. Somebody else was at the door greeting parents and checking students out there because the student was in the office, and we didn't want an audience for that. And then somebody else was outside the office navigating students and telling them where to go and calming people down, and someone else was on the phones, and everybody just finds their place, and they work together really well. Our reading scores, we noticed 2 years ago, more than 50% of our students were below grade level on reading. We went from last year, 48% to 56.5% of our students being at or above grade level. And then our school safety scores, I could not get the numbers because we don't have panorama access anymore, but it did increase by about 10%. And that is just students self-selecting and saying that they feel safer in the building and they feel more connected to our adults. So some of our challenges, turnaround status in some special groups, are MLs, Hispanics, students with disabilities. I think school-wide, we can always improve on academics, and PBIS at a middle school is at the forefront constantly. Some of the things that we've done to address it, we double-blocked math and English for most of our students. So they have it every day instead of every other day. And PLC work has come a really long way. We've done a lot of professional development. As you saw before, we have goals and action plans for every team. We do regular data dives. Our teachers twice a year have the ability to have a half-day sub and do a data dive with our instructional coach available. And then our leadership team helps provide feedback in the shared drive. And then this year, a new thing was we identified by team students in what's called like the zone of opportunity. So those students that are really close to that proficient level that we feel like we could bump up. And I asked them to choose a student who was ML, a student with disabilities, and then a student with no risk factors, hoping that if we focus on 3 students per class period per teacher, those strategies will affect everybody school-wide. We've done a lot of work on Tier 1 instruction and chose to focus on engagement and rigor. And we created, as a leadership team, collective commitments, and those are links if you want to open them, to our teacher collective commitments and our student collective commitments. Part of this was we realized we kept talking about rigor and engagement, but there was no common definition. Everybody kind of had their own idea of what that meant and what that looked like in a classroom. So we were trying to just make that consistent. And then we've made a lot of changes to how we work pack time, which is our advisory and intervention time. We do weekly grade forms, which is also linked there if you'd like to see it. So every week, the students are doing a self-assessment of where they're at. So they check their own grades, they check their citizenship grades, they write a SMART goal of their own. They self-assess how engaged they are, if they're actively engaged in the classroom. They do a check-in with their teacher and take notes on what their teacher says, and then they email all of that to their parents every week. Okay, and some of the things that I feel we should continue at Centennial and at the district level is we have a data coach, essentially, that I fund, and she does all of our technology help for teachers. She's really good at tech, so she helps with Canvas integration, all of the different apps and software. She helps them with grade syncing and things like that. She also does a lot of data work, so she pulls data for me and organizes it. She'll go into PLC meetings and help them learn how to navigate data, and she also is our testing coordinator. She has, I think, helped our PLC work come a really long way because teachers have so much on their plates and so little time. So being able to organize that so that they can focus on the important piece, which is what the data means and what we're going to do about it, has been really helpful. And for me as a principal as well, to have someone else be able to get that for me, so again, we can focus on the right conversations, has been really helpful. I love our focus on PLC work and the professional development aligned with PLC work. I appreciate the instructional coaches, so thank you for that. I also very much appreciate having district level support in AVID and DLI. As a school principal, DLI can be very daunting and overwhelming, and it has been very helpful to have somebody to help take that on and help us navigate that. Same with AVID. We've gotten a lot of support with translation from Time Kettle and Microsoft through Michelle Eldridge, and that has been very helpful. The feedback loops and communication, I feel, is really strong right now between the schools and the district and the board. And it feels very aligned. Like the PLC work and the focuses at the district level are exactly what we're focusing on at Centennial. And then we've made a lot of progress on our building, just the physical space, and I appreciate that so much. So much has happened this year with taking out the diamond benches, and then we painted the whole building last year. Some flooring's been replaced, all of our lights have been replaced, new sound systems, there's just been new carpet in the office. So it's been really great. And I think it makes the school a more welcoming place for everybody. Some things that we're currently working on as well is increasing our tech support. With one-to-one Chromebooks, we have not really had the tech support that our students have needed and asked for. So we're working with Chad to increase that and see if we can kind of match the needs of our students. We're continuously working on improving our physical space and finding creative ways to make a small building work for a lot of students. we're working with Michelle and Doug Finch on curriculum and intervention options for our special ed classes. Our mild, moderate special ed classes didn't have a lot of options there, so we are creating those. We've also created new training for our co-teachers, where it's special ed and gen ed in one class. Again, rigor, engagement, literacy, school-wide intervention programs and procedures we're working on with the district as well. And then again, transparency and communication, school culture and community relations. It's been a very big goal of mine as a principal to improve our relationship with the community. I felt like there wasn't a lot of trust in our school and that we needed to do something to repair that and to bring people in and make it so we felt approachable and that not just our students felt safe, but our parents and our community felt safe. Some things that I would say we need is just your continued support. I have appreciated, again, that feedback loop, and I have felt very heard by our district leadership and by our board. I was able to be a part of the process of creating the strategic plan, and I just felt like it was truly collaborative. It wasn't top down, we were heard, we were listened to, changes were made, and I just appreciate the hard work to get all those perspectives and do what's right by students and teachers and everybody. That's a big job. And then I would just ask everybody to help us share the good and share the positives. Sometimes what hits social media or phone calls or your emails maybe isn't the best side of schools, and it's maybe when people are emotional or having a hard time. And so I just love to share the positive stories and the good things that are happening. Any questions?
Any questions for Brooke? I have a list, but first I just want to say thank you for this. And I do have a new 7th grader at Centennial. And I will say I was nervous for him to go to middle school and how is he going to manage? And it has been such a smooth transition. So thank you. And I love getting those progress reports from him. It's so funny to see what he writes. So I, as a parent, am seeing some of this work in my own home, and it is really great. I think the question I had was like what this English team was specifically doing, but I think you addressed that in the end. So yeah, that's all.
Well, Brooke, I just want to thank you and your team and your teachers for all of your hard work. I mean, you guys are on fire. You're doing so many good things.
Thank you. And
after seeing all these great things you have in place, the good PLCs, a lot of the principles of AVID that you're doing with the pack time and having them work on their goals, I mean, I think we're going to see that you're going to go over your goals of growth and proficiency and stuff. So thank you. And I love that you're identifying the students in the zone of possibilities and really making it very personal. Like, these aren't just numbers, these are actual students, and how can we help them? And I just love that. So thank you.
Thank you. My kids all enjoyed Centennial, so it's a great place to be. I'll keep promoting it that way. I have a question about how you double book your math and your English, because does that mean that they don't take as many electives, or how does that all work?
Yes, so it does take up 2 class periods instead of just 1 each. And so it does take away an elective, to be honest. But with the 5x5, I feel like they still have more elective options than a typical middle school or junior high. And it's hard because I think electives are so important, and that's why kids love school. But if they can't read, we're failing them. And so that's kind of what it came down to, was math, English, and science were not there. And so at some point we had to prioritize that, and that's kind of where we went.
Great.
I'm a big fan of yours. I loved having your input in the strategic plan, and I love seeing like the really intentional way that it looks like your whole team at Centennial is aligned. I guess my one question I have, and I have this actually for all of our secondary schools around science, I mean, obviously with math and English as well, but when you're looking at science and your science teachers are working together and just trying to figure this out, and like, can you think of, or maybe share with us, some of the resources that you've found helpful or that would be helpful if they existed? Just as we're thinking towards kind of academic achievement in our district, one of the things I think we have to put our minds to a little more is also how to support our science. So I'd love to hear your thoughts kind of on that process, because it is a struggle, right?
Yeah. I feel like I don't have a solid answer other than continued support and time in things like PLC work, helping teachers understand the importance of data-informed instruction, and focusing on what kids know and don't know. And I think what we're doing is the right direction. With science, too, retention is huge. Finding good science teachers and keeping them, because we know science and math fields, they have a lot of options that could be higher paying. And right now, we have a pretty new science team. We have a lot of new teachers in that department, and it can be hard to keep up with progress when there is turnover. So I think helping recruit and retain those teachers, but then also just providing the time and the training to help them do the work that they really know how to do. It's just time consuming to do it. And when you're really doing it, it takes a lot of planning. You can't just do the same old day in and day out stuff that you've been doing for years. It changes every time you look at data. So it can be a big task.
Thanks. I just hope that you'll know and you'll tell all of your teachers that, like, we want to be supportive. If they identify a need or a thing that they think would really help move a needle, at least communicate that freely to board members and administration.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll let them know.
I'm a huge fan, Brooke. Just in the last year, just from the very first time I walked into Centennial and just watching kind of the transformation that's even happened, you're a go-getter, you know what you need to do, your staff is behind you. It demonstrates really great leadership. I've just been really impressed, and just the culture of your school. It was the only listening tour I went to where a teacher raised their hand and actually said, what can we do to support the vision of the district and to support what we're trying to accomplish here? That was the first time somebody had approached it from that perspective, and that's because of the culture you've created there. So it's really phenomenal. So thank you.
They're the best.
Okay, thank you so much. Will you please take a big thank you back to your staff and everyone there at Centennial from us for all the amazing things that are happening?
Definitely.
Thank you so much. Right. Have we received any forms for public input? One. Okay, great.
We have new people who've walked in since you.
And if anyone else is interested in giving public input to the board tonight, it just would require this form over here on the little table to be filled out, and then the form handed to Bonnie, our secretary, and then we'll give you 3 minutes to speak to the board. But for now, we will hear from Rhiannon McDaniel.
Hi, thank you. Not in Provo, but in Pleasant Grove, and I am in charge of substitute teachers. I have a question, and I know you can't answer questions, but if that can just get back to me somehow. You were talking about the tech policy and talking about how maybe substitutes will enforce that. Just to bring to your attention, part of ESS's policy is that substitutes are not to confiscate student property for any reason ever. And so it'll just put the subs in a conflict there. So just maybe be aware of it. The reason we have that policy in place is just it can cause a lot of problems because the subs aren't there every day like a regular teacher. If they leave it in the desk and someone else takes it, or if they forget to give it to the office, they walk home with it while they're not there the next day. Just problems like that can occur. And then I just want to protect my subs. I don't want anyone to be accused of stealing when they're not trying to do that, things of that nature. Yeah, so if you could just keep that in mind and then let me know how you want to proceed, get that through the grapevine, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Any other forms tonight? Okay, great. We'll go ahead and close the public input portion of our meeting and we'll move on to our business items now. All right, we will begin with a vote on policy 4200. And Wendy, will you give us a quick summary?
Yeah, so this is our policy on electronic devices, just providing basically a district-wide vision and how we're going to address those at the elementary, middle, and high school levels.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there a motion to approve?
I move that we approve policy 4200, fostering ideal learning environments, electronic device restrictions, with the recommended changes made in the study session.
Okay, thank you so much. Motion made by Board Member Partridge. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Hales. Any further comment or discussion, starting with Board Member Partridge, if there's any?
Well, I wanted to make the comment that, when we've been talking about this for months, like I think it was the May meeting we were talking about it, right? And I was like, we know we want to do this, let's just do it, have it in place by next school year. And I appreciate those of you who said we need to take our time. And I appreciate the process and the way we've been able to involve the community in that, and our teachers and administrators and everything. And I feel really proud of the work that everyone has done and what we've got here. So thank you.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Meg.
I'll just add, I think because we have been talking about it for a long time, for a while, I do think many people kind of know it is coming. So I think that's going to help us with the rollout, like we mentioned in study session, that it's been discussed to an extent that it's on people's radar.
Okay, great. And then I guess I'm just going to add, Wendy mentioned earlier that the state reached out, right, to us to find out what we're doing with our policy, because they heard we had gotten so much feedback on it. And so I think that's a nod and something to be proud of to the people who've worked on this so hard. So I'm excited to vote on this, finally. This will be great. So, all right. All in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed with nay? All right, that motion passes unanimously. Business item number 2, this is updates to policies 4020, 4021, and 4022.
So these policies are dealing with curriculum. 4020 deals specifically with curriculum adoption and the procedures that are tied to that. There is a procedure tied to the actual adoption process for core areas, as well as a procedure for supplemental materials, and also a procedure for apps and websites to really guide teachers in that process. 4021 is about library materials, and 4022 we have already adopted but are renaming that policy sensitive materials so that people know what it actually is about.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there a motion? Do we need to approve these one at a time, or can we approve them all 3 at the same time?
You would want to approve those individually.
Individually, oh great. Okay, perfect. So is there a motion to approve policy 4020?
I move that we approve the updates to policy 4020 as discussed in study session.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Motion made by Board Member Boyce. My brain isn't working. And is there a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Hall. Any further comments or discussion, starting with Board Member Boyce, if there's any?
I just want to give a shout out to our assistant principals as well, our teachers. I often find myself in conversations with other people in the state around their curriculum issues, et cetera, and I'm always so proud of the work that gets done, the thoughtful way that I feel like our district supports teaching and learning, and also the way that our teachers view their stewardship in the classroom around the way they use their curriculum, their supplemental materials, and just how mindful they are of the students in the room so that people feel safe as learners. So just a shout out to the work that's been done in policy and also the work that's being done in practice.
Any further comments? Great, let's go ahead and vote on policy 4020. All in favor with aye? Aye. Any opposed with nay? All right, 4020 passes unanimously. Is there a motion to approve policy 4021?
I move that we approve the updates to policy 4021. Did we make changes to that?
I'm trying to remember. We could just say it in case we did.
With any changes that we may have made in study session.
Great, thank you so much. Motion made by Board Member Hales. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Van Wagenen. Any further comments or discussion, starting with Board Member Hales, if there's any? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote. All in favor with aye?
Aye.
Any opposed with nay? All right, policy 4021 passes unanimously. Is there a motion to approve policy 4022?
I move that we approve the updates to policy 4022 as discussed in study session.
Thank you so much. Motion made by Board Member Hall. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Partridge. Any further comments or discussion, starting with Board Member Hall, if there's any?
No.
Okay. Seeing no more, we will go ahead and vote. All in favor with aye?
Aye.
Any opposed with nay? Okay, policy 4022 passes unanimously. Business item number 3, policy 6810.
So this policy updates our rental policy for use of our buildings by different groups. This year, we centralized the process of renting our buildings to the district office, and there were some things that needed to be updated, including required supervision and new rates for the different levels.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there a motion to approve policy 6810?
I move that we approve policy 6810 as discussed in study session.
Thank you so much. Motion made by Board Member Van Wagenen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Hales. If there's any further comments or discussion, they may start with Board Member Van Wagenen if there's any. Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote. All in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with nay? That passes unanimously. Item number 4, policy 6110, fundraising and donations.
So this policy we approved it last month. This is just updating one paragraph to update it to match the state policy and to require group fundraising and to match our travel policy.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there a motion to approve?
And this one did have changes, just so that.
Okay, changes made in study session. Okay, great.
I move that we approve policy 6110, fundraising and donations, with the changes made in study session.
Thank you so much. Motion made by Board Member Boyce. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Van Wagenen. Any further comments or discussion, starting with Board Member Boyce, if there's any? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote then. All in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with nay? That motion passes unanimously. Business item number 5, which is policy 3165, the age at entrance.
It just changes the deadline to turn 5 from September 1st to September 2nd, as per state law.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
I move that we approve policy 3165, age at entrance, as discussed in study session.
So much. Motion made by Board Member Hales. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Partridge. Any further comments or discussion, starting with Board Member Hales, if there's any?
I want to congratulate all the incoming kindergartners who were born on September 1st.
And September 2nd, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I have to get a hold of myself. Okay, here we go. All in favor with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with nay? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. On to our consent calendar. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the consent calendar.
Okay, thank you so much. That was Board Member Hall. With that motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Partridge. Any further comments or discussion or questions, starting with Board Member Hall, if there's any? Okay, seeing none, we'll vote. All in favor with aye?
Aye.
Any opposed with nay? All right, that passes unanimously. Great. We are excited to hear from our student board members now. So Hutch and Monica, come up to the podium. It's a podium,
We
right?
need to approve the consent calendar.
We just did, right?
Oh, you did? Okay,
That's what
sorry.
we just did.
All right, well, I'm clueless.
All right. So last week, Wednesday, we had our second student advisory council, and it was a learning experience for me. For those of you who were there, I'm sorry for the agenda mess up. I promise that next time will be better. But we were able to, I feel like now that we were a bit more comfortable with each other, we were able to be a bit more free with our input. And so I feel like we were able to get a lot done. Some of the issues we talked about was the cell phone policy that you guys just passed, just barely, as well as some confusion with class credit changes, along with just between both schools, just almost like a disregard for the facilities. And so I feel like that was really, it was really good. We have a good base from which we can work on for the future.
I think for the next meeting, I want to make a point to talk about board, just how to, I want to phrase this properly so I don't offend anyone, but just knowing when to talk and just the etiquettes of it. I just want to make a point because me and Hutch, we are in charge of it. So I just want to make a point for all of the people who are there to be respectful of people who are speaking at all times and maybe just slow down the pace a little bit so everyone hears what's going on. But I think that the meeting was very successful and we got a lot of feedback from both Timpview and Provo. So I loved it.
Great.
Okay, that's great to hear. Thank you so much. I'm glad it's becoming a learning experience for the two of you as well. That's awesome. That's so fabulous. Any questions from the board or comments from the board? Yeah. Jennifer?
I'm just curious. I know we're still like just getting into this year and stuff, but how are things going, or what do you want to work on for communicating not just with the SAC members, but just what you're doing here? How are you communicating that or learning from your peers school-wide?
On Thursday, actually, I'm going to start filming for the podcast with Spencer, and that's my way of getting a lot of the information out for both board meetings and the SAC meetings. And then I'm also reminding all the members, at least at Timpview, that I see on a daily, just to make a point to talk to your peers, see any concerns that are happening, making it available for other students to come and present to us, and making it an option for them to present here.
For me, I found what works best just for me personally is just face-to-face interactions with people, whether it's with my friends or just people in my classes. I feel like just getting the feedback straight from them is I feel like it's a lot better for them. Also, just to know that like they're not just going to take some survey and just become a stat somewhere, but that they're being heard, and I think especially with this cell phone policy, a lot of people are going to be like, okay, like I do have some sort of say, some little influence that is being heard. And so I feel like just maybe encouraging more than just me to like reach out and get input from others.
Thank you. Perfect.
Any other questions from the board? Yeah. Okay, thanks. You guys are doing awesome. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, business administrator report.
So just to highlight a couple of things that have been put on our finance website, we got the financial report that we reported on last time on there, but we've also finished the popular annual financial report and the budget book. Both of those were completed by Steve over the last month. He's made a Herculean effort to get all of that done, and they are beautiful. He's done a wonderful job. He redesigned the whole thing for both the budget book and the PAFR, and those have all been submitted to the GFOA for the award, which last year we did receive the Triple Crown, which means we got the award for all three. So,
okay, thank you so much. We'll look forward to getting it again. We'll cross our fingers. Let's see. Board member roundtable. So let's see. Shall we start down on this end this time with Lisa? Are you good to start?
Sure.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to ask someone else to report on the CTE visits, the site visits. I hope someone will update. I would love to hear more about how those went. So in terms of the CAPS board, I hope you all loved as much as I did the pictures of the CAPS project around the Halloween costumes. For people listening, our students did some engineering work to create costumes for some students with disabilities that were in wheelchairs. They were really spectacular. Foundation, Terry probably has more input on this, but the foundation has just finished wrapping up their teacher grants, and they'll be awarding those over the next couple of weeks. So we hope that educators who've applied for those will stay tuned.
November 20th and the 26th.
Yeah. So, and time for Terry to put Thomas to bed. But but in terms of the foundation, I really appreciate the way that they are thinking expansively and really looking, like today when Terry was speaking about the strategic plan, you could see them, I felt like really engaging in a way around that seemed energized, and I'm excited to see like how we partner with them to make that plan, to support the priorities in the plan. I think that's pretty exciting. I am looking forward to our finance committee meeting so that we can read through and talk about all of their good work. They know I'm a slow learner at that, but thanks for your patience with it. I think that's it for me.
From LegCom, let me just remind everyone, next week is the last legislative interim session, and the legislative session starts on January 21st, 2025. And then from the Safety Committee, as part of HB 84, the county security specialist has to do a needs assessment evaluation at every school, and all of our schools will be finished with that assessment by December 16th, so we are ahead of schedule. And the state security chief wants to have a chain link fence surrounding every school. This means if you live next to a school and you have a gate that connects to a school, it will be blocked. Our maintenance department is already in the process of doing this. You have been warned.
Okay, my turn?
Yep.
Okay, well, follow that. Okay, first of all, for the Utah School Board Association, I just want to remind everybody that this is the last month to complete our Master Board certification, and we want to be 100% as a district and as a region, hopefully this year. If you need help logging on, just let me know, and you're going to do whatever level is next in what you've done before. So if you did level 3 last year, then you're going to do level 4. It's not going to be very obvious when you first go on there. So just go do the one that you know you're supposed to do. And if you've done 4 before, right now there's nothing higher, so you just will do 4 again. So, and then also just the association, along with the Superintendent Association, has an initiative called Push Pause, and are trying to make people, especially our legislators, aware of the effects of too many bills that are happening. And so I did fill out the survey. I don't know if anyone else did, but they sent us a survey about that. And so I actually used our sensitive materials policy as an example of how we spent a lot of time a year ago on it and came up with something great, and then have had to spend months this year revising something that was working well for us just because of the state policy. So anyway, and then we're also working on setting up a system for getting board members to join us, like go in a group to the Capitol during education committee meetings during the session to show support. And so once we get more information, I'll share that, but love to have any of you join us that would like to do that. And you can also join virtually and give comments virtually if you want to. And then for LegCom, another update on that is we learned that there was a legislator working on a bill related to social workers. And since we have the highest percentage of social workers out of any district in the state, we connected with her. It's Representative Stephanie Grecius. And just today, we were able to connect with her and work specifically on the draft of the bill and give our feedback. And she was very wonderful to work with and to take our ideas, and she's got to take it back to a committee, but she was very open to our thoughts on that, and for which we are grateful on that. So, and then last on the PBIS/Kindness Committee, we're looking at renaming the committee as the Positive School Culture Committee, because that's really what it is, and there's an umbrella of, it's an umbrella for a lot of things that it could be. But at our meeting last week, we talked more about the supports for setting up PBIS. Some schools are doing really well and have done it for years, and others are newer to it. And so they're making sure everyone's aware of there's an evaluation tool called the SET tool, which is actually listed in our strategic plan. And so they're training the schools on how to use that, and then it will be administered in January, I believe. And then that will give us data on what each school can do to improve their systems and what they're doing well for PBIS. And then we are also talking about a retreat for our kindness clubs leaders, and then for our secondary level, also the pillars will attend that. So that's the leaders of other big
groups in the school because they all influence the culture, right? So that would be a retreat the end of January, beginning of February, one for elementary, one's for secondary. And we're just working through who would be our keynote address. We're looking at someone that district's kind of looking at for some support and some other school culture initiatives. And we're also looking at, we've never had a good system for a budget for these kinds of things. So we're looking at how do we do that and make this, if this is part of our strategic plan, how are we supporting that? So that's all.
Great, thank you. Meg?
Oh, you're not going?
I don't really have any committee assignments at this moment. I was thinking I could just report on, I spent a day at Provo High working on their, with their consultant on their plan for their targeted school improvement. And so that was a really great experience going through data, like digging deep and diving into things and helping out with that. And that was a great day.
Great.
Everything looks hopeful. It'll be great.
Okay, just yesterday, we had our meeting, I am serving on the Health Education Curriculum Review Committee. This will be my second year, and we did meet yesterday. So this committee, is the committee, it's made up of administrators, teachers, a board member, and we review any like human sexuality curriculum that needs to be approved for our health teachers to use, specifically in 8th grade and 10th grade, because those are the Utah, that's where the core standards are set for sex education in the state. And so yesterday we did have Refuge Utah presented their presentation for our committee to approve. It's a program that's also Alpine and Nebo have been using it, and they both those districts had really great things to say about the presentation that Refuge Utah puts on. I mean, it's specifically addressing sexual assault, and they are able to present it in a way that is sensitive to the age of these students, but also it stays in line with the state curriculum and all the state standards for teaching these topics. So it was really great to be on this committee, and especially for this presentation, and to hear the discussion with the parents and the teachers, the health teachers, and the questions that they asked. I felt like it was just really productive and something that will be great. So once this committee approves, it's like basically approving a supplemental option for our health teachers to access if this is something they would like to use as part of their instruction for the students. So, yeah.
Policy committee, you kind of see what we're doing because we bring 10 million policies. Hopefully this will slow down if we can get the legislators to slow down too. But I do want to have a shout out. My brain is off. Put a shout out to you, the staff who are working so hard on these policies. They take it, they write the policy, they come back, and then they hear all the feedback that we have, and they take it again. So thank you to everybody who does that, including our superintendent, who writes probably at least half of these. So thank you to everybody for your hard work on that. I appreciate it. And then student board members is one of my direct responsibilities, and we will be, I need to talk to them after this, but we most likely, 99% sure, will be presenting, our student board members will be presenting at our January USBA conference, so we're going to work on that. You had a chance to hear them speak, and we are so excited about that. I've had people reach out to me about our program and how we do it, and so I'm proud of our students, and I'm looking forward to presenting with them. Are you going to do capital facilities?
You can go ahead.
I don't have anything to say.
Well, I mean, we talked about it last time, I think. But, yeah.
And I'm on that committee.
So a lot of my committees didn't meet, but I have a couple things that I've done. We did meet as a group with Representative Stratton and newly elected Representative Schallenberger, and I thought it went really well, and I think we got the point across that there's a lot of legislation that leads to a lot of policy, and I'm really hoping that that doesn't happen this next year. I have really enjoyed watching multiple sports and activities this fall. I may have gone to one or more volleyball games. And anyway, I'm really appreciative of good competition and gracious, what's the word I'm looking for, competitiveness. So I'm hoping that continues and improves as we go along. Anyway, I want to say a shout out to Timfew's cross country team. They took first in state, which was awesome. I also got to go to Rock Canyon's Veterans Day Assembly, and it was so much fun. I'm still wearing their little poppies that they handed out that they made. So it was just so fun to see each grade stand up and seeing one of the different parts of like Air Force and then Army, and then they all came together at the end, and they had a slideshow of like if your grandpa served, they had a picture and they had said whose grandpa it was, and it was probably Jared was saying maybe 100 plus pictures that went through this slideshow while a patriotic music was going, and it was just so much fun to see these kids and have that patriotism going on. We will also be working on the handbook one more time, the board handbook. Rebecca and I are meeting tomorrow, is that right?
Yes, that's on my calendar.
Yeah, so if you have any more edits or suggestions, please get those to us.
Well, tonight.
By tonight, yay.
Or by tomorrow at 3,
I guess
right?
by tomorrow at 3, yeah, that's when we're meeting.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's it for me.
Can I add one more thing? Sorry, we know that I'm forgetful. But this is something that I was so impressed by, the way the liaison committee meeting went this past month. I learned so much valuable information. I felt just listening and observing how Jason and Rebecca and his team all interact with PEA and do we say PESPA or PEA? Okay, sorry. And then hearing the results from the PEA survey, for example, I thought that was such valuable feedback from our teachers and the impact coming, like the information coming from both organizations, and then just seeing the good work that's being done around district insurance and EAP. What does the A stand for? Employee Assistance Program. I thought that, then I was like, wait, I thought it was wellness. Anyway, I shouldn't, yeah. But just seeing how much care goes into our employees, it's such an important part of our strategic plan. I'm not sure we could ever talk about it enough, but the resources of the people that work in this district, and so hearing their voices and seeing them hold that meeting in such a respectful way with people, feeling safe enough to share feedback and give their ideas was a shout out to the leadership at the district and also just all of our great employees. So I really loved being at that meeting.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I don't know if you're going to do this in your report or not, but Melanie gave a shout out. So I'm going to follow suit and just give a quick shout out to the Provo High Marching Band that got first place at the 4-H state championship. So congrats to them. Okay. Superintendent's report.
We have 2 approved travels that are taking place in the next month. Boys basketball for Provo High School is going to St. George for a tournament, and cross country from Provo High School is going to Walnut, California at the first part of December. There's a whole bunch of travel that will be coming in December for a lot of our well, actually it won't come to the board, but I'll report on it from the CTSOs. We're working through some logistics with that. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. Last week I went to Washington, D.C. with Edgemont Elementary. They received 3 different honors all within the past few months. So the first honor is they were recognized by the Department of Education as being a blue ribbon school, which means they're one of the top performing schools in the country. So there were 333 schools recognized. That's K-12. It also includes private schools in that, and Edgemont Elementary was one of 3 in Utah. They also received an award from the French Consulate for being one of the top French dual immersion programs in the country, and then also received a STEM recognition for the effort that they're putting forth. So it was really great to see just how much credit when you watch principals, how much credit they give to, it takes the whole community to make that happen, and the PLC work, you kind of heard that from Brooke as well, and the high expectations that teachers have of students. So it was a great opportunity to hear from the Department of Education, and anyway, it was an awesome experience. The next thing that I just wanted to highlight is that we've had a lot of concerns from teachers about behavior and the work that we're doing, and our student services team has really been working with Jason Cox to put together not only a levels of behavior document, but also these Power School modules that are tied to behavior. The levels of behavior document will be trained with our teachers on January 6th on that professional learning day, and then providing supports for principals and assistant principals. They're training this week, for example. They're just going through and practicing and kind of working through all of the logistics of those pieces. Special education is going to be doing some training with principals on de-escalation strategies that can then be taken to teachers as well. So there's always a process by which, yes, we want to fix it, but it sometimes includes a lot of training for teachers and trying to be sensitive to the fact of they have limited amounts of time, and we don't want to push them beyond capacity because we already do that. And so I'm just really appreciative of the team and the thoughtfulness by which they're going through that process and really trying to be very responsive to all of that. And then the last thing I just wanted to report on is our efforts with anti-discrimination pieces as a result of the recent incidents that have happened at Shoreline Middle School. Working with Conlon Bonner has put together some lessons that will be sent to the Board of Education for final approval. They've been working really closely with Shoreline Middle School, and that we have a timeline of when those will be delivered with follow-up support that comes from our social workers. So we're working with Mr. Bonner to also train our social workers to do something more district-wide so that we have that support across the board, because it isn't just an isolated incident. So I just am always impressed by how our departments and our employees and our directors, everybody just dives in and tries to problem solve, and if there's delay in things, it isn't because we're not trying to solve the issue, it's because we're always trying to recognize capacity, and recognizing timing sometimes involves a lot in this process as well. So just a lot of really good things going on, and a lot of hard work. So.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And we are going to do something just slightly unusual tonight. Instead of adjourning this meeting, I'm actually going to entertain a motion for the board to move into an executive session. And when we convene that executive session, it will effectively adjourn this business meeting. So that's what we'll be doing, and then we'll go ahead and reconvene as a board as soon as we start our study session. We'll just start our executive session. We'll just reconvene in boardroom 1 there. So is there a motion to convene a closed executive session for the purposes of discussing litigation?
I move that we convene a closed executive session for the purpose of discussing litigation.
Thank you so much. That motion was made by Board Member Hales. Is there a second?
Second. Oh, give it to Lisa.
We'll go second with Board Member Partridge, because I saw you first. Okay. And on this one, we need to take a roll call vote to move into that executive session. So we'll start with Lisa.
Lisa Boyce, aye.
Terry McCabe, aye.
Jennifer Partridge, aye.
Rebecca Nielsen, aye.
Meg Van Wagenen, aye.
Gina Hales, aye.
Melanie Hall, aye.
Thank you so much. We're now in executive session, and we'll reconvene in boardroom 1.